Hi everybody, this is Nick, Putty, or Professor Lalone, depending on what space you know me from. I've been wanting to put together some 5-minute reviews about various concepts that I discuss in my classes, about various ideas and how they relate to the design of games, but also how games convey ideas. So the first game that I wanted to tackle, or the game that I wanted to get into, is Firewatch. Now, Firewatch came out very recently, so we may be crossing some spoiler zones, but I've tried to cut everything out that indicates anything having to do with a choice that you might make. So, in this game, you meet a girl. You kind of experience life with them, and then something occurs, and you go out into the woods to kind of think about some stuff. This game, especially for people who are new to designing games, is super important. It's super important because when you teach game design, and I've taught, I guess, for a few years now, a thing that occurs is that every single person you talk to wants to create the AAA game experience. They want to recreate Call of Duty. They want to go and work on Call of Duty. They want to go and work on Assassin's Creed, or they want to create the next Halo. There aren't enough games out there that are as popular as these games that offer a means through which to aspire. And so Firewatch is interesting because this game is very unlike all of the super popular games that are out there right now. This game is super unlike Halo. It's super unlike Assassin's Creed. What this game represents is a kind of a retroactive going down a different path that video games could have gone down. So, I wrote a review a while back on one of the websites that I maintain. It was a review of a video game called A Slow Year. Now, A Slow Year is by Ian Bogost. And what he wanted to do in this game is to offer up kind of I guess what I interpreted it as, what if video games existed outside of the way that they were initially created, which was to kind of advertise war or kind of make fun with the toys that we made to do war. And so, while Slow Year was interesting, it was made for the Atari. It looked like an Atari game. What Firewatch does is kind of takes what Bogost was talking about, where video games can kind of convey feeling, video games can kind of convey emotions in much of the same way as, say, a book or a movie or something like that. But it can do it much differently. And so, your interacting with this game environment produces feelings and emotions of attachment that movies and books and things can't convey. And so in a couple of the classes, my students read a lot of Bogost's work, and this is the one thing that they talk about a lot. Even though most of them have only played AAA games, everybody talks about, I lost this character in Grand Theft Auto, or I had this mission in Grand Theft Auto, or this Call of Duty mission was nuts. And there's a couple parts of Modern Warfare 1 that really are very powerful emotionally. But without having to think about war, without having to discuss, the heart of darkness. We're not calling upon Joseph Conrad to take us into the jungle, I suppose. This game manages to have a lot more emotional impact than anything having to do with war. So, there's a couple complaints that I have about this game. The first is these bounded spaces. So I can only move forward or along the trails. I can't leave the trail. So this isn't necessarily an open world. You're being funneled into different places. You're being sent into different places. And so the game feel, especially if my students get into the juice jam, or we're talking about juicing up games, there's this feeling that I'm playing a video game. It's not necessarily an immersion-shattering moment. It's just a moment where you're reminded, I'm in an electronic space. I'm in a video game. And Invisible Walls is probably the most frustrating part of this game that reminds you of that. This is Firewatch. Give it a try, especially if you are only into specific large games. So we talk a lot about Monster Hunter. We talk a lot about Netrunner. Try new games. Think about new games. Experience new games, and I think that you'll be rewarded. So with that, you guys go out, have fun in new ways. See you again.